Feast week is now behind us. It's probably the best time of the college basketball season outside of the month of March. Let's get into the weekly Q&A. This is my first time doing this on YouTube long form style. The goal is to do it every single week throughout the entire season. Every Sunday I'll post on Twitter and IG to get your best questions, and then I'll make the video like this for Monday. Now this is brought to you by our lovely sponsor Home Field. Easily the best college apparel in the entire world. Awesome vintage stuff, elite quality and creativity. I'm wearing one of the shirts now. I think it's a Marquette 1977 national championship shirt. That's on me. Use code HAMMER at checkout. You get 15% off your entire order. You're welcome. All right, let's get into it. What team made the biggest statement this week, good or bad? We'll start off with the easy one in Auburn. They are very clearly the best team in the country at this moment. They had a huge comeback win over a great Iowa State team. They beat UNC pretty handily and Memphis pretty handily to win Maui. They're doing a great job defending the three, inside scoring, and they have this like electric kind of feel to them. It's like an it factor. You can't really quantify it or put it into data or anything. The vibes are just high, and they are playing better than any team in the country easily. Oregon now 8-0. They beat Texas A&M, San Diego State, and Alabama in the last second of the game to win the Players Era tourney. There's really not anything that they're overwhelmingly good at, and that's the hard to figure out part about them. You just have a lot of good players, a lot of experience. Jackson Shellstad hasn't been great and hasn't fully broken out yet, so if that does happen, like I know a lot of people are anticipating, then that would take this team to a new level. It says good or bad. I'll give you a bad one. Miami. What in the world is going on? Lose to a hot Drake team, sure. Oklahoma State, VCU, okay. But Charleston Southern is legitimately one of the worst teams in the country. They were outside the top 300 in KenPom before that Miami game. There is just no identity to this team. There's no effort, especially defensively. Tim Larinaga just turned 75. It's probably going to be time for a major shift in Miami basketball. What are 3 things we learned from the Maui Invitational? I already talked about Auburn. I'm going to leave them aside. UConn is the obvious one. This team and roster especially have a lot of soul searching to do. And that starts with Danny Hurley, the antics, the crying about the refs and in press conferences and everything. I just don't think their roster is that good. I think they're going to be fine. I just don't think that they're going to be this top 5 team in the country all year and real contender to do a three-peat. Their front court is nowhere near what it has been the last couple of years with Donovan Clingan and Adama Sanogo, and that really gave them a really good floor of interior presence, along with the guards really not playing well. They just have a lot to figure out. The Michigan State pieces are there. We kind of knew that before the season. We were just relying on a lot of that breakout potential to actually break out. Some of it has started to, but they don't have consistency. They need that Xavier Booker from the North Carolina game all season long, because I don't think they can keep just flipping from big to big to big to big and just go back and forth all season. And also Jace Richardson needs to be playing like massive PT. That kid is awesome. Third thing, Dayton can compete with the big boys this year. If you go look at their non-conference schedule from the last couple of teams and years that they have been good, it was never nearly this good other than like 2020. UConn by a huge chunk. They barely lost to UNC and Iowa State. They have a lot of legit power talent to compete with these power teams. Cheeks, Santos, Malachi Smith, Posh Alexander, Zed Key. They can shoot, they can push the floor, they have experience, they got guard play. The Flyers are pretty damn legit. Who you got for player of the year so far? I think there's 2 guys that are pretty easily the front runners. Janai Broom, if the season ended today, would 1,000% win the National Player of the Year, but Cam Jones, shout out Marquette, would be a pretty close second. They have both been unbelievable on 2 of the best teams in the entire country. After that, you can go into a super long list of Hunter Dickinson, Mark Sears, PJ Haggerty, John Tonji, Dylan Harper, Walter Clayton. Like, I don't want to leave guys out, but there's a very long list behind them. Can Ryan Nembhard win Player of the Year? He could, because he's that good of a playmaker. The volume and usage that he's on and the efficiency that he's on leading the country in assists is absolutely incredible, but he's going to have to rely on the team success. Gonzaga is very good. I think they're an elite team, even with a couple of losses. They're going to have to be like #1 team in the country the rest of the year, and by far at the end of the season for a guy like him to win the award, though. What is the best conference in college basketball? Right now, I've always said the Big 12, but right now the Big 12 and the SEC are definitely 1 and 2. It's hard to not give the SEC this slight edge when you look at teams like Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky. Like, they're playing so well. It's definitely those 2, then a gap, then the Big 10, then another gap, then the Big East, ACC, Mountain West, A10, etc. Let's hear about some of your favorite mid-majors this year so far, maybe some under-the-radar ones. I'm not going to talk on like the Dayton, the Memphises, the Mountain West teams. Those really aren't true mid-majors to me. UC Irvine is a team that not a lot of people were on before the year. I definitely fully wasn't. They're 8-0. They haven't played elite teams teams, but they've been playing super strong. They have a very, very, very strong defense, letting up like under 60 points a game right now. They're elite rebounders. Nobody can shoot on them. They have good size, and they have a lot of roster continuity. Their biggest contributors right now were here last year. They were here 2 years ago. So these guys have needed zero time to adjust and kind of get their team chemistry gelling and going. Drake, on the other hand, is the complete opposite of roster continuity, and that's because Ben McCollum, their new head coach, came from D2 Northwest Missouri State, and he brought a lot of his D2 players and other guys from JUCO. They are awesome. They're hot. They're beating good teams. Their offense is mobile. It runs a lot of really creative and efficient actions, and they are eventually going to play Bradley in the MVC, who I was on before the year a little bit, but I'm definitely still fully in on. They're 7-1. They're one of the best shooting teams in the country. Play a little bit of small ball, and that kind of makes sense when you look at the numbers. I saw a lot of questions about Duke in general and the end of the game with Cooper and Khan and the freshmen taking over the ball, and then also not having a true point guard on the team. Short answer is yes. The crunch time performance of Duke has been an issue for sure. I'm fine with the idea of, hey, we have elite talent, some of the best players in the country. They've been playing well. They're proving that. So when the game is on the line, let's give it to them. Let's give it to Cooper. Let's give it to Khan, and let's just let them make a play because there aren't many people that can stop them. But it's been like 4 or 5, maybe even more times at this point that John Shire has kind of let Cooper and Khan do that. But there's a balance of fault, right? Like clearly a lot of it's on Shire and the play calls, because a lot of them are coming out of timeouts where you have a whole minute, 2 minutes to completely draw up a set. They're not really giving us anything outside of some ISO creation and simple ball screens. Like I want to see a more creative two-man game with a cutter, or maybe a zoom action to get the defense moving. Maybe run a set through a natural experienced handler like Tyrese Proctor, even though he's more of a combo and not a one. Like he can still be that guy. But when you look at the young guys, like it's on them also, right? Like Cooper's this awesome player. One of the biggest strengths of him growing up and kind of developing throughout his high school career has been his playmaking and his vision and his awareness. And in crunch time, we haven't been able to see that. I know he's taking a step up. It's a long season, but you got to be aware of doubles coming, especially when you turn your back and you're spinning. Your handle is probably got to be a lot tighter. Like I said, it's a long season, and Duke is a great team. They're going to be in these late game crunch time situations probably a dozen more times in a bunch of ACC games and in the ACC tournament and in March. So in due time, they'll figure it out because these are elite talented players. But short answer, yeah, it's a problem. Solution to fixing Nova, I'm going to keep this one simple. I don't have a really good answer for that. I don't think there really is an answer other than bring Jay Wright back, I guess. Realistically, they're going to have a reset within the staff. I think that long term, they need to recruit better, and not just freshmen and high school kids, but also guys in the portal that are from the Philly area and PA and New Jersey and the DMV, because there's no football program. The NIL is kind of different at a school like that in the Big East and a small private school like Nova. So you have to get more granular with how you kind of recruit guys. Which team, in your opinion, is on a high and will disappoint come in February and March? This is a good question, and I don't have a very confident answer, but Wisconsin is the first team that came to mind strictly because we've seen it before. We saw it last year. They started off really hot, especially into the beginning of, I guess it was 2024 in January. They kind of fell off a little bit in conference play, but they still got a very respectable seed in the tournament because of how good they were earlier on in the year, but they ended up flopping later on. I could say Oklahoma also. I'm just not fully bought in. They run a very small lineup, a ton of guards, but those boys can score a buck ton. Jeremiah Fears is he's one of them ones. I'll tell you that much. He should be in high school right now, like worrying about like prom and whatever else is going on in high school right now. I don't even know. But there's something in me that says maybe the Sooners are one of those surprise teams, kind of like Miami was in 2022 and 2023, that run small ball lineups, a lot of guards, and they just play very open and free flowing. But I don't know. I'm not fully convinced yet. Who's going to win the Mountain West? I got a lot of Mountain West questions. People are asking about Utah State, San Diego State, especially after this week, and then really until further notice because of how good their system and program has been really across the board. I'll go with San Diego State as the favorite. And Utah State has been awesome. There's something about Utah State that every time they have this coaching change and roster change, like they're able to just figure it out. I don't know if it's something at the school or if it's something with the athletic administration and the athletic director. So props to y'all for whatever you're doing, but every time they go get a new coach and new guys, new roster, like they've been unbelievable. And I still think New Mexico, definitely Nevada, big sleeper Nevada, Boise State, even teams like UNLV are definitely ones to watch. Colorado State too. Favorite early sleeper in the 2025 NBA draft class. Shout out to League Game. If you don't follow their stuff on all platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, the video stuff, Twitter, X, whatever. Go do yourself a favor and consume that stuff. I don't think Jalen Lowe is really a sleeper at this point, but it's hard not to be excited about him. I'd say Miles Byrd at San Diego State looks really good right now, and his on-ball creation has gotten a lot better. And Kobe Sanders, staying in the Mountain West, has been one of my favorite sleepers before the year, and he's just proving that and then some right now, making me love him even more as a player and prospect. He's got true wing size, length, and athleticism, but he can play make, he can create. He has been the offensive engine and the generator, right, for this Nevada team that, again, I mentioned has been good. Kobe Sanders has been the helm of it. He can shoot. He can really do everything on the floor. He's one of those super versatile players, kind of like J-Dub, Jalen Williams was back at Santa Clara. So he's definitely one to watch. Top 5 picks in the NBA draft. As of right now, I'd go Cooper and Dillon at 1 and 2, although, like, I just think that they're in a class of their own. I would still, in a vacuum, take Cooper Flag at 1. I understand everything about him, the versatility and everything he can offer to the floor and his ceiling. But Dillon is something else. There's something about him, not just physically and ability-wise, but like intellectually. He plays on another level. Still hold a lot of stock in VJ Edgecombe. I think he is a special kind of player. Ace Bailey would be up there for sure. And then 5 would be tough. Yegor Demon has been awesome to start the year. I want to see him do it versus better quality opponents more. Trey Johnson and Derek Queen, I'd probably have in that conversation also. And realistically, there's probably another dozen guys that at least deserve consideration for a top 5, 10 lottery type pick right now. This class, freshman class, has been unbelievable, and that's what's driving the draft class to be so good, because obviously the younger guys, the freshmen, are going to be the ones that are taking up most of those top spots. Last question, because it's from Cole Adams. What is your favorite part about Feast Week? Favorite part's probably the uncertainty, because like there's so many games happening and so many high level games, and even ones that are kind of underdogs and whatever. So you get a lot of upsets, you get a lot of buzzer beaters, like stuff that we see in March. Also get the uncertainty of a tournament setting, right? Like you don't know who's going to be playing each other in the second day and round of tournaments and the third day. So you don't know what kind of exciting matchups you're going to get. We thought we would get UConn versus Auburn or Carolina or Iowa State in the finals of Maui, but instead Memphis went to the finals. And that kind of arranges those unique matchups that you look back on in March when you're filling out your bracket and stuff like that. That you didn't really expect to see in the first place. So that's going to do it for this week. I really do appreciate the love as always. I'm not massively doing YouTube stuff yet. I'm going to keep doing my best for y'all. I know people want the long form stuff. I want to do more long form stuff. So obviously subscribe. We're going to be doing these weekly Q&As, maybe some other cool podcasts, interview type episodes or something, and a lot of other stuff on the road also throughout the college season. Appreciate y'all again. Have a great week and enjoy the games as always. Peace.